Yeah, there it is.
Like it.
It's the first time anybody's played Wonderwall on the Wonderwall pedal.
Listen,
Well, try
you just
to.
need those drums just kind of belting away in the background. Hi folks, Nathaniel here at Chicago Music Exchange. I'm joined by Nick from Oneder Effects. How's it going, mate?
It's going great. It's great to be here, man. Thanks for...
Delighted to finally have you here.
I know. We've been kind of online buddies for a little bit.
Yeah.
Bonding over things such as Oasis and guitars.
Yes.
There's not much else going on in my life.
We don't need much anything else, really, do we?
That's all we need.
That's all we need. And you have brought, obviously, an array of pedals, which I'm looking forward to getting into. But before we do, essentially, I mean, what made you want to get into building your own pedals?
I think, if we go way back, I started off playing music in a band, touring, writing, studio, all that stuff. So my favorite part of that was developing what kind of rig I was going to be using in the studio or on that next tour. Talking to people who work at guitar companies, different pedal companies, amp companies. That was one of my favorite things, and I kind of didn't realize it until later. And once my band stopped touring, I started producing and mixing records, making records for bands out of my house, and got to do a lot of really cool ones. And my favorite part of that was, I'm gonna lay out all the best pedals for this guitar tone or for this bass tone.
Yeah.
And then right around the time of the first COVID lockdown, actually before it, I was like, you know what, I need a dad hobby, because I was just kind of losing my mind a little bit, having a little kid at home, and I need something zen that wasn't, making records.
Yeah.
And my buddy Andy basically told me, why don't you just make a guitar pedal? And I was like, I don't know how to solder. And he's like, you should just learn how to solder. It's actually really easy.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And he actually has a pedal company called Cameltone Electronics. And he has an overdrive pedal that I really loved. And he said, I'm going to send you the kit on how to make this. And he's like, I have video and everything, step-by-step instructions. Like, you won't fail.
Yeah.
And the second I put that pedal together and I plugged it in and the LED turned on and I played a chord, I was just like, I'm the most powerful person in the world. This is incredible. And then I tried like 3 more different kits after that, and they all didn't work.
Oh no.
And I was just like, I quit forever. I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
And then some time went on, I tried another one and it worked. And I was just like, this is great. And then when the COVID lockdown happened, I had to cancel a lot of studio work, and I just kind of started making pedals and posting them on my Instagram.
Yeah. Little
clones here and there, boosts, easy stuff. And people who knew me from records I've made in my studio or, my time in my band, they would hit me up and they're like, it'd be really cool to have a pedal made by you. Like, all right, cool. So I started just doing little bits here at a time, but quickly I got hooked up with people who knew how to design circuit boards, which was like mind-blowing to me. I'm like, whoa, like I could just find somebody who will help me do that, because I didn't have those skills. I still don't, to be honest.
Right.
The imposter syndrome kind of went away.
Right.
I still every once in a while I'm just like, whoa, 20 years ago, if I looked ahead, I never in a million years would I think that I have a pedal company and I build all of these myself.
Imposter syndrome is a very real thing. Right? So I know exactly where you're coming from with that.
But at the end of the first year, I was basically like, okay, I kind of know what circuits I want.
Yeah.
I know what needs I have, because that's still kind of my goal, is I want pedals that I need for a specific application.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're really basic, sometimes they're a little bit out there. And by the end of the first year, my wife is an accountant. And she was just like, I think you're a pedal company now, not a producer guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, let's see how this goes.
Yeah, see how it goes, I suppose.
And every year it's gotten better and better and cooler and cooler. And like the bottom line is like, I just love it so much. Like from beginning to end, like I don't love sitting and hunching over and soldering for days on end, but I love the process of, like getting this board together.
Yeah.
Was so cool. being able to take a step back and be like, okay, like I've built this and this is where I am so far. So yeah, long story short, I am a guitar player who's been on the road quite a lot, too much.
Yeah.
I've done damage to my body and soul doing that. I'm happy to be home and, you know, chilling with a lovely family.
Yeah.
I've made a lot of records, some of them not great. Some of them signed to pretty big labels and the bands are doing super well.
Oh, okay. Brilliant.
So it's like, that's cool, you know?
Yeah.
So the only thing I know for sure is that I know that I trust my ear as far as tone and sounds that I think people would really benefit from. And that's one cool thing. I said before, I have a bunch of different people who help me design the actual circuits, and the things that I tell them, I'm just like, okay, I need it to be like a little bit less and like a little bit more ha.
Right.
And you know, they're just like, what does that mean? And then I'll go in and figure out like what frequencies those are, like what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I'm like, it needs a little bit less, 2K and a little bit more of like a high pass, so it doesn't blah blah blah. And like, yeah, these circuit designers are kind of like, oh, okay, like you just made my job a lot easier. So the fact that that's one strength that I have is I treat it almost like I'm making a record.
Yeah.
And like, this is my album.
Yeah.
And this is, the in and out. Like, it's almost like studio rack mount gear.
Yeah.
Like what's inside a pedal. You go into the input and then there's a compressor and then there might be a preamp and there's a lot of gain or not a lot of gain.
Yeah.
There's an EQ section. You can plug into your tube EQ. You can go into, and then you go out and maybe there's all kind, like basically it's just ins and outs.
Yeah.
A bunch of knobs and bonkles and I don't know what anything's actually called, but if it sounds great,
there you go.
I'm a happy guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of course. Now, so your first pedal you said was like an overdrive pedal?
Yeah, the very first pedal that I put out was it was called the Wonderdrive, and it was a 2-knob, 1-switch thing, and that was a total happy accident.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what I was going after, and I was getting frustrated. I ripped the clipping diodes out of a circuit board, and I changed a couple values, and then I plugged it in and I cranked it, and I started playing it, and that was the first time that I thought, I bet you other people will like this as much as I do right now.
Yeah, of course.
It kind of had this Weezery, fuzzy distortion sound to it. And then it kind of took off and it kind of really helped get my company off the ground. And then there were people who had some suggestions on how to make it a little bit more tweakable because it was only 2 knobs and 1 switch.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, whatever. But I ended up listening to them, and I call that circuit now the Wonderbolt Distortion, which is this half of the Wonderwall pedal.
Your half, the left.
Yes. So that is essentially, people ask, what's it based on? I don't know. It has an op amp. It has diodes or not.
Yeah.
You can make it so there's no clipping diodes. It's just full op amp distortion.
Yeah.
And I added this high frequency control, basically a tone knob, but one funny thing about this is I think default is all the way up. Like, I designed it to give you the high end I think you need.
Right.
But this just can take it away if you're playing through a really shrill or intense amp.
Yeah.
And I have lovingly referred to this toggle up here, that's the clipping toggle, as the Billy switch.
Okay.
Which plus is Billy Corgan.
Right.
And minus is Billy Gibbons.
I like that.
They're the only Billies that you need.
True. That's a nice little touch.
Yeah, so I was kind of, I'm not selling it as that. I'm not putting that in writing, so don't come for me. That's just my fun little thing.
It's on the internet now, though.
It's on the internet forever. Hopefully, they're nice dudes.
They will.
But yeah, so, and then this is like a little boost switch that I added.
Oh, yeah.
Which, to be honest, down, which means that the boost is on. There's more high end and more gain.
Right.
And it always, to me, sounds better.
Yeah.
But some people wanted the old Wonderdrive circuit, which, if you flip that up, that kind of brings you back to that old, the original design. Yeah. So, yeah, I like letting as much high end through as possible because it's kind of a darker circuit if you play on certain amps.
I mean, initially, obviously, it's a great looking pedal.
Thank you.
Visually, obviously, the name is incredible.
Yes, yes. Oh, and I should mention, that's the CME Exclusive colorway. So this is the first time anybody is seeing that.
Yeah.
And I brought one for you. I want you to have that one because we share, we have some
common interest.
Common interest.
Thank you very much, man.
We are both lovers of the song Wonderwall, unironically.
Yeah, no bullshit memes or something. It's the biggest song of the 90s.
It's true.
In my humble opinion. Thank you very much for this, by the way. I owe you.
You got it, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Can I get it out on camera?
Yeah, for sure.
I've never said that before, have I? Well, I'm sorry.
Can I whip this out real quick? It looks a lot like this one.
It does, but this is mine.
That one's yours.
I made it with Billy Corgan or Billy Gibbons?
You know what?
We'll never know.
It's true. I did get one of these. Man. I got one of these to Noel Gallagher.
Oh, yeah.
And I still to this day don't know if he officially has it or know it exists. Yeah. But it was basically left with him and his tech and their crew.
Yeah.
Dave is the other guitar player for the other guitar tech for the High Flying Birds.
Oh, yeah.
I got in touch with him, and I brought one to him for getting me into the show. And then I was like, and this one's for Noel. And he's like, cool, I'll make sure that it's sorted.
Oh, that's cool.
I haven't heard back, but it still makes me happy that I got to see the show. And, and Noel's actually here today.
He is. Come on, mate. Yes. Well, you never know. You never know. It could be on his board. You don't know.
Yeah, it's very cool. And, it doesn't make Oasis sounds.
No.
Like people have asked me. You can kind of get there with this Wonderbolt side.
Yeah.
But this side is sort of my take on a muff.
Right, yeah. So let's chat about the other half of it. Because I need to know now, because I'm the proud owner of one.
Yeah, dude. So the one cool thing about the Wonderdrive and the Wonderbolt circuit, most of the reviews I got were, this pairs super well with my muff.
Okay.
And I was like, well, that's pretty interesting because it has like this certain cut, it boosts the muff, or vice versa. People would say, I run a muff into the Wonderdrive and it's like this crazy doom sound.
Yeah.
So the combination of these two circuits, it's a little bit different than just like your drive fuzz combo.
Yeah.
You could do boost into muff, you could do overdrive into muff, you can make them both different sounding fuzzes. So you basically have two different fuzzes on your board that you can work independently.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways to go about it. It's pretty fun. And then this toggle up here, this is kind of like your classic scooped sort of muffy sound.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I was developing the pedal, I had something else in mind, and it was going to be just a single switch.
Yeah.
And the three little lightning bolts up here, it removes two of the clipping diodes. There's a lot more low end. It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Like, be ready. Like, your amp is going to be like, whoa, this just got really intense.
Yeah.
So it's really cool on bass. And then I, like I often do, messed up and put the wrong part in when I was developing one of the prototypes. And it was an on switch. Right. And I was like, oh no, there's 3 positions. Like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
And I went to the middle position, and it was just glorious. Well, like, it was beautiful.
I mean, should we hear what some of these sound like?
Yeah, man.
Let's track back. We'll go with the left half of it first, because I'd love to hear that.
Sure.
If that's cool. I'll let you do your settings. I'm really intrigued to hear how it sounds.
This is the Wonderbolt.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see why I put the high end contour on there, because all the way up on this amp on a twin right in our ears, it's gonna be a lot. So this is kind of the boosted op amp only clipping.
Yeah.
And on the Billy switch, that would be Billy C.
Right.
So all the way up.
That sounds great, man.
Thanks. It's
genuinely, that sounds fucking good.
Thank you so much. And that was kind of like my sound.
Yeah.
Like the sound of a lot of my favorite bands in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then the funny story about that circuit is, and we're playing very loud and playing big chords, so you can't tell, but there's kind of like this crackly decay when the chord is kind of falling off
Right.
when you're at a little bit lower gains.
Yeah.
And I tried to fix that, and I failed. It did not fix, but I got the Billy G sound out of
Yeah.
it. I did a weird arrangement of clipping diodes.
Yeah.
So here's the difference. I'll back off the gain a little bit.
Yeah.
So here's the heavier op amp clipping. And then if you switch it to this,
Right.
you get kind of more of a nasally mid-range.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That sounds great.
Thanks, man. And it's kind of my ideal quirky distortion drive sort of thing. And yeah, I'm actually really pumped on how this sounds.
No, it sounds great. I mean, and particularly when you go, well, as you said, to go from one Billy to the other.
Yeah.
it sounds great. And those kind of players come to mind immediately. Now, I know you're not selling it as that,
Right.
which, you know, we will stress that. But
Don't sue me, please.
But it's just the way, like, it might make you think of some of their tones.
Yeah, that is
an
definitely a selling point to me.
Yeah.
And even when I'm developing a pedal.
Yeah.
Like, this is my pedal that I will get when I want to sound like Lynyrd Skynyrd,
Yeah.
ZZ Top, or I want to sound like Weezer and the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
So very different.
Yeah.
It does the 70s, it does the 90s, does not do the 80s barely. Don't even try to play anything that came out in the 80s on that, or you'll void the
Ain't
warranty.
gonna happen. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, yes. I mean, should we try the other side? No, 'cause
Yeah.
obviously you're on about this switch up here.
Yeah, so I'll start kind of with the more classic.
Yeah.
And then, if we go all the way to the top,
Yeah.
this is going to be a lot, but I'm pumped.
That's good.
So yeah,
That sounds good though.
quite a bit.
Like
Thank you.
huge, beefy, big sounding.
Yeah, it's it made me really happy when I first heard that.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, oh wow, that is so much more low end.
Yeah.
And then the middle, if I had to give it a name, you know, that's my Wonder Muff.
Yeah.
That's kind of, this side of the circuit doesn't have a name yet.
Right.
If I ever make a standalone, you know, pedal version of that,
Yeah.
I'll call it something stupid, I'm sure. But yeah, the middle here is very yeah.
It sounds huge.
Thanks. Yeah, it's kind of scaring me a little bit.
No, brilliant. that is cool.
So pairing them together, this is the order toggle.
Okay.
Facing the Wonderbolt means the Wonderbolt's
That's
first.
the first.
So yeah, kind of throwing this, you know, we'll keep it there. Keep the gain lower.
Okay.
So. And then if we switch it, the only thing I like to tell people is you want to open up as much high end on this side as you can.
Okay.
Because this is now last in the chain.
Right.
But yeah, let's see kind of where, I don't even know where we are. We'll start with the muff.
Yeah. But see now that, particularly with the lead playing, it's got a nice kind of smooth, round tone to it.
Yeah.
It's not messy or anything.
Thank you. Yeah, the way that they stack together is really cool.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people say you're not supposed to stack a pedal that sounds like this into a pedal that sounds like this, but it somehow works with all the little toggles on there. You can kind of sculpt it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had people say it kind of gives them that sort of Gilmore, Pink Floyd, creamy lead kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different artists out there who use like a drive and a fuzz together.
Yeah. I mean, clearly, I mean, there's a huge wealth of kind of versatility with it in regards to the sounds and tones that you can get. A lot of exploration, which I love.
Yeah, thank you.
Which is cool. Man.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's more than I would want as a player. Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, there's way too many switches, there's way too many knobs. And then once I got lost in the prototyping phase and I was actually having fun, I was like, no, that's what's important. Having fun finding the sound and having the option to go back and forth, the order toggle, the different amounts of high end and gain that you can kind of sculpt. Yeah, it's just so much fun.
Well, I mean, you say like there's too many knobs and switches on it, but I mean, when you break it down, like when you split it in half.
Yes.
Level, high frequency / tone, gain, boom, there you go.
Yeah.
And same for the other side.
Yeah, if you look at it as a 2-in-1 and you draw that imaginary line down the middle, it becomes a lot less intimidating. You set each side up how you like it and see if they work together. And 90% of the time they do work together.
It's
really
easy because I'm not the most clued up with pedals. I'm fairly I'm a bit of an idiot at times.
I mean, me too, man.
But it's very easy, you know, to use, which is cool.
I gave one of these to Andy from Ride. Not a fanboy at all.
I think.
A little bit. Yeah, man, I'm pumped on it. My kids were like, "Why is there a naked lady on?" I'm like, "No, it's not. It's art, okay?"
It's art.
Yeah, we don't do it. But yeah, I went to go see them in Detroit, and first off, amazing band, incredible. Secondly, Andy's just so generous with his time and his words. I was just so I brought him a Wonderwall because he's the person that I know that has played that song the most times live outside of getting a pedal to Noel. And he thought it was pretty funny. And Dave, who texts for the High Flying Birds, also texts for Ride. So he let Andy play the older Wonderwall. And actually, he used my Old Blue Overdrive. Well, it was Dave's Old Blue Overdrive that I make, and he gave it to Andy because one of his pedals farted out right before Riot Fest.
Oh no!
So it was kind of cool that Ride had an Old Blue on the board right before The Cure on the main stage at Riot Fest. And I was just like, oh, that's a cool. I try to play it cool usually when I meet a band that I dig, and I'm just like, yeah, man. Like, but I was like, that's sweet. Like that's really cool. I'm starting to, I guess I'm not an old guy by any means, like, but in my later life, I'm trying to just like let people know what they mean to me. I'm not trying to play it too cool. Like I just had a little Zoom call with one of my favorite bands on earth. I don't want to say who yet because it's gonna be cool. But yeah, I was able to be like, hey, so let me get this out of the way. Thank you for ruining my life by making me be in a band and go on tour. And they were, they loved it. So tell your heroes what they mean to you.
Of course.
As long as you're not punishing them,
I mean, you may never meet them again. So but you never thought you'd meet them in the first place anyway. So
which is wild. The pedal world has brought me to meet more artists than when I was in a band on tour all the time. It's just there's this kind of like everybody kind of keeps to themselves. When you're in a touring band, everybody's fighting to be on the tour with the new hot band or whatever. But everybody just loves pedals and gear, and everybody gets along. So it's a really cool gateway, Like when one of my favorite bands found me through my pedals, I was just like, cool. And then also with the Old Blue Overdrive, someone tagged Matthew from the band Not a Surf because I was playing a Not a Surf riff in one of the demos. And they're one of my favorite bands of all time. And we got to talking and I was able to send him an Old Blue. So it was just kind of like, all right, achievement unlocked. It makes me happy to be able to share all these, little silly knob boxes with people who are going to use them and dig them.
It's cool though, and it's great that it's happening. All right. I'm going to go with this. You know what? I'm going to let you mess around with the settings for me.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
That sounds nice, man.
That's not bad, right? Sounds great, man.
Then yeah, we can flip this up. We'll go max.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
That sounds great.
Let's get over on here. Check that out.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's do it the other way. Let's see what that does. I mean, it's a lot of gain.
Yeah, but I love it just for whether it's power chords or soloing or just kind of chugging away. I mean,
yeah, I like that
Very
you're able
good
to also. I heard you kind of tailor your playing. You know, like you would hear it and just be like, "Sweet, this riff is next."
Right? Yeah,
and that's kind of how I feel too when I play that pedal, because it's just kind of like
certain sounds want to be played in a certain. Well, it's to an extent. You know?
Like sometimes you're like, all right, I want to get like creamy Pink Floydy, and then a second later, like the devil horns come out. And it's like, oh, this one is for Satan. Let's go. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
So that was awesome, man. Thanks.
It's like I said, the variety of sounds that you can get away with, the versatility is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So.
I was pretty happy too with like the single coils or humbuckers. It really likes both.
Yeah.
And it's tweakable enough that if you really needed to, you know, tailor it to be a little bit thinner or a little bit thicker. I mean, there's obviously no shortage of thick on that thing. THICC.
Yes.
That kind of thick.
Very good. I mean, thank you so much again. I mean, I'm really looking forward to
of
getting
course.
on and exploring with that.
So were you living in Manchester when Oasis?
Oh, yeah.
That was like, you were there. You were in town.
Yeah.
And Oasis was like, we're here, we're taking over the world.
Yeah.
And you just like lived there.
I was a kid, I mean, I grew up.
I think we're about the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that...
I grew up in again, I don't know these lads or anything, but I'm just saying the effect that they had on kind of everyone in Manchester and, you know, England to an extent.
Yeah.
I grew up like half a mile down the road, went to the same schools.
Oh, that's
again,
so
I
cool.
don't know any of them.
Wait, kinda, they know you?
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That counts.
Yeah, I met him, and nicest guy in the world. Again, I don't claim to know him. Nicest fella you could meet up.
That's so cool. See, it's the gear brings us together, you know?
That's it,
like,
exactly.
That's the best part. Yeah, I mean, as a kid in the States, Oasis at the time, I was drawn to them, you know, it was guitar music, the songs were great, and I was just kind of like, all right, I'm in. Like, this is awesome. But, you know, there was also 5 or 6 or 7 other bands at the time that I was like, I'm also going to go out and buy their CDs.
Yeah.
Then, you know, a couple of years went by, and I would, like, revisit Oasis, and not so much the other bands. And then, you know, I would get to, like, high school.
Yeah.
and then I'd be like, oh yeah, like Oasis. I'm gonna check out some of their newer records because MTV very much dictated what we listened to.
Yeah, of course.
The radio, whatever.
Yeah.
And like I missed Definitely Maybe. Like I was
did,
a little bit maybe too young, and also in the States they hadn't quite broken out to the extent that they did with Morning Glory.
Yeah.
So I went back, checked that out, and I was like, oh, it's a punk rock record,
Yeah.
Like they were in a different place as people. And it was just like, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And then and then every few years I just go on this kick where I'm just like, oh, that band was great, huh? The guitar tones and just like the fact that I don't think a lot of people realize, that, and I think they've mentioned this before, but their sound is basically feedback trying to chase the guitar the whole time. And they are basically avoiding it to the extent where you're like, it's about to go off. And it's harnessed and controlled, and it's just pure rock and roll. So I don't think that, I mean, obviously they get a lot of credit for a lot of things, but that particular guitar sound and like just the activity of the amp screaming at a semi-hollow body guitar is like such a magical thing.
But controlling it,
or trying to control it.
Which is huge. I get it. I talk about them all day.
This has been a big transitional year for Wonder, and for most of the year I've had one, maybe two pedals in my line. And I've discontinued things, and I'm revamping things. I've been working on certain pedals for about 2 years now that are finally coming together. And my best-selling pedal is the Old Blue Overdrive, which is kind of my low to mid gain, and I'll be honest, high gain, especially now with the V2. This is Old Blue V2. Some updated artwork. I got the test enclosures about 2 days ago, and I got the final prototype boards working about 3 days ago. So this came together so last minute, and I was like, I got to put this on the board because I'm just excited, but I don't have a release date for this. A couple of these pedals on this board, I do not have a release date. I'm just excited and I want to show people.
That's cool though.
I think as soon as Old Blue V1 sells out, which is getting close, I'll be ready to go with these. It just might take a month or two, to get parts, things like that. But the improvements that I made on this particular pedal are I changed the low end contour so that Noon is about normal Old Blue that people know and love. And you can actually cut low end now, which is something that I used to think didn't need to happen, because the whole point of Old Blue is this is a transparent overdrive for people who didn't like transparent overdrives. They want the qualities of the sparkle and the chime and the grit, the breakup. But they want it to be known when you hit it on. There needs to be that oomph. And the problem with that was the low end contour was very, very minimal amounts of boost for the low end. It was still useful. But now you could also kind of treat this almost like a screamer, where you put it in front of another high gain amp and you can tighten up that low end and really kind of give it that nice boost or that nice chug. Or if you're using a humbucker, like a high output humbucker, and you found your dirt, but it's just a little too much balls, for lack of a better word, you can roll that back. But the cool thing is, you can also turn it back to maximum Old Blue girth world, which is honestly one of my favorite places to be on this sweet earth. I also added another clipping option. It used to be two. It was like the plus and the minus, which was kind of like a vintage and a modern. A little bit more compressed, a little bit more opened and clangy. Then I labeled this one V2, which is the down position. And it's just right. It's just, it's where I've wanted to be this whole time. And it sounds super good at high gain.
You might as well hear it, right?
Absolutely.
So let's start off with the low contour. So essentially now, is this kind of similar to the original Old Blue?
I would say Noon is pretty much where the old one would sit. The Noon is where the old one would sit at minimum. So kind of a weird thing. But it'll make sense once it's on. But and you can see it actually adds a little bit of gain because it's a pre-gain low end.
Right.
So then you can get that nice low gain sound with that heft, just in case you don't want it to be shrill or just kind of lose that power. So. Then you can kind of, you know, do the rock and roll, punk rock, emo. People on the internet have called this the emo pedal.
Right.
And I was like, that's kind of a cool name.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and I grew up playing kind of bluesy southern rock stuff.
Yeah.
Not very well, but that's kind of like my world when I was learning.
Yeah.
So it does that kind of thing really well too.
Yeah.
So on the more compressed clipping setting, lower gain.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of covers all that area.
Yeah.
Which is
well, yeah. Again, very versatile pedal.
Yeah,
which is great. You know?
I'm really happy with it, and it definitely it's like kind of gonna be like I say it's my desert island pedal, even though I make it.
The Old Blue.
That's why I made it. It was like I want this to be when I'm making a record for somebody, which I don't do as much anymore.
Yeah.
But if I need to add something, whether it's a lead or if I'm doing like session work, sometimes I do a little bit of session stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not like openly out there, but someone will be like, hey, can you add guitar and bass to our record?
Yeah.
I love that. Like, it's just like, dude, I know how to play guitar. Like, this will be fine, you know? It's not going to be great. It'll be fine. But yeah, I'd really love to grab this. And it's just kind of like, cool. Are we doing the low gain thing? Are we doing the middle gain crunch thing? Are we doing the more modern high gain thing?
Yeah.
And this loves to be boosted too by something else. So yeah, that actually brings me to this NOFX pedal. So that was kind of a wild collaboration. That is probably going to go out on pre-sale very soon, this summer. But it's been a long time in the works. But NOFX, one of the biggest punk bands ever, you know, they've been around for 40 years, and they're actually calling it quits this year, which is kind of sad, but this is sort of to commemorate their years of service. Their record is called So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes. That came out in 1997. And this is So Long and Thanks for All the Boost.
Like it.
Yeah, because I have to. You know, I can't keep that stuff to myself. I have to put it on a pedal and, you know, be annoying on the internet. So it's basically my old Wonder Boost circuit. And I added a foot switchable secondary boost that pushes the first boost. And this nice little light up knobby controls how much gain it gets. So I guess I'll do it clean first, right? I'm gonna do a quick little tune-up. I was getting a little bit crazy.
Going wild.
Yeah, as wild as I can get in my old age. Let's see. So yeah, that's the cleanish. And then this kind of right here about 9 o'clock. There it is. Adds like a little bit more heft and a little bit more gain. And it's just kind of a nice option in case you want to have two levels of boost. One clean, one a little bit dirtier. you can kind of get it into like a nasty kind of old school overdrive territory, just like. And
that
then,
sounds good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then one of my favorites is All the Way Up.
All the way, of course.
And it kind of turns it into like a 2 transistor fuzz.
Right.
So it's
I never thought you'd be able to get, because initially, like I said, it's a boost, but it's kind of much more than that in a way, right?
Yeah, the way that they interact and having the boost slam into the first boost.
Yeah.
And it really makes that first boost angry when it has another boost slamming into it. And yeah, it was a really cool little circuit, and putting that into like a very utility NOFX pedal. And I feel like most NOFX fans are going to use this to boost their already high gain amp, or another high gain pedal.
Yeah.
You can use it to do, you know, blues and jazz if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, it's like it really has like a nice tone sweetening quality to it, clean.
Yeah.
But if we want to talk about high gain amp, the less than Jake pedal, and I actually need to get some of these to CME because they're just doing really well, and I thought they were going to be a limited thing.
Right.
I thought there was only so many people who would want a ska and punk guitar pedal.
Yeah.
The crossover was maybe not going to be there.
Yeah.
But they've proven me wrong.
Yeah.
And it's much more than a gimmicky pedal. People ended up really, really enjoying it. And it's a collaboration with Chris DeMakes from Less Than Jake, who I grew up listening to. And when I started touring, they were actually headlining the first tour I ever did. I filled in on bass for a band called the Wilhelm Scream. And I was 18 years old, and they kind of just like took me under their wing and were super cool to me. So yeah, this is the ska channel, the blue LED.
Yeah.
And this is for when you're doing you gotta. And then it's very similar to the circuit of this NOFX pedal.
Right.
But it's just not foot switchable. And I have a preset amount of dirty ska, you know, so if you're going like. So yeah, it's kind of a boost, clean ska thing.
Yeah.
And Chris wanted it to kind of be like a toggle foot switch, as if you were playing through a 2-channel amp.
Yeah.
So like, let's say you go overseas and the amp that they have for you is just crap.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm going through the clean channel. Boom, you pop this down, and then you play your ska. So yeah, this is kind of the, you know. So yeah, it's kind of a.
Sounds great.
Thanks, man. It's kind of the late '90s, early 2000s punk rock high gain amp sound that I just chased all my life, and then got it into a pedal.
Yeah.
And yeah, so when Chris said ska punk pedal, I said, cool, I know exactly what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And it came together really quickly, and yeah, we've sold quite a few of them, and I'm really happy with. Oh, there's another stupid pun. It's one of their biggest songs is called "All My Best Friends Are Metalheads," and this is obviously called "All My Best Friends Are Pedalheads."
Of course.
Had to do it to them.
Why not? I like it.
But yeah, so I promise the puns are gonna stop at some point.
No. Listen, I love puns. I mean, I'm guilty of doing puns around here, so keep them going.
I just like to keep pedals fun. You know, it's like I listen to all like the blues lawyer dad rock stuff. I love it. But sometimes people just take themselves a little too seriously, and I want it to sound really good and also make someone smile when they see it. So
yeah, that's important. Yeah.
So speaking of making me smile, whoa, I just got emotional, I'll be honest. Okay, so I developed this pedal with my 6-year-old son. He's still alive. He's doing great.
Good.
That's not why I'm emotional.
That's great.
Not dead, alive kid. He's fine.
He's at home in Michigan. He's good.
Awesome. So yeah, this is called the Tiger Saw.
Yeah.
And I was just videoing my kid because I was using my cute kids for likes and clout, as we do.
Yeah.
And I was just like interviewing him about, pedals. And I was like, what does your daddy do for a living? And he explained, makes pedals. I was like, how long do I work every day? Blah, blah, blah. I was like asking him cute questions. And I was like, if you could design a pedal, what would it be? And he was just like, Tiger Saw. And I was like, excuse me? And he had a whole thing ready to go. And this was when he was 5 years old at this time. And yeah, he was just kind of like, I want it to have like a tiger on it, but he's going to have a saw for a head. And I want it to sound like a tiger roar, but with like a chainsaw sound. And I was like, you are a pedal designer.
That's brilliant.
And I was like, what the hell, dude? So yeah, ended up coming up with a circuit, and I kind of said, all right, we'll do like 25 of these. It'll be this cute collaboration with my son, Everson. Oneder Effects is the name of his company.
Oh, yeah.
So I put that on the pedal with my name. And I think he's more popular than me at this point, but like whatever. So we made 25 of them, and I made them for sale at lunchtime.
Yeah.
At his school, it was lunchtime. And they sold out before he got off the bus to come back home.
Wow.
And I told him that. I actually got him on video. I'm like, buddy, Tiger Saw sold out. And he was like, oh, how much money did I make? Like, it was just instant, like, oh, okay. Yeah, you are a pedal maker. All right.
That's brilliant.
So yeah, this one is a little bit different from what I normally offer on account of it's very harsh and intense.
Yeah.
But
it's got to be, right? Tiger Saw.
So I'll get it down to it. So I really like this setting with the toggle switch down.
Right.
It's kind of like an old 250 distortion plus kind of 70s two knob distortion sort of thing.
Right.
And it just sounds nice by itself.
Yeah.
With no saw switch engaged yet. So. So
that sounds good.
That's the Tiger.
Yeah.
And now the saw. So this is kind of the old chainsaw EQ Swedish death metal thing.
I was gonna say, you sound like as if you're nervous to push the button, like as if we should stand back, or.
It is so nasty, but here we go. And it's a lot. And
in a good way, though.
Thank you. And I actually did a demo of me kind of playing like almost like a synthy, sludgy nerd rock song using that tone. Because like, I don't think people expect to hear like that HM2 flavor on something like that. But it's a really cool, almost cocked wah flavor. And people use it on bass. So I'm actually doing another run coming up soon. This will be my third run of Tiger Saw, the pedal that, I thought, that'll be fun. I'll give my kid a pat on the head, but it's like now I owe him like tens of thousands of dollars. It's great. But I just tell him you can buy a Nintendo Switch game every time we sell it.
I mean, that's brilliant. I mean, hats off to Everson as well.
He's the best. He's so
got
fun.
The right ideas, hasn't he?
He has another idea that's coming up soon, but I was like, I just don't have the capacity right now, but we'll work on Lion Axe soon.
There we go.
So yeah, one cool thing about Tiger Saw is that you can use it with the gain down as like a saw boost.
Okay.
So it just sounds really crazy by itself with no gain.
Yeah.
But when you throw on a distortion, like So yeah.
Sounds great.
Kind
When
of
you combine the two and kind of beefed up like that.
Yeah. So this ended up being kind of a fun metal utility pedal, as well as having just like some cool artwork.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm proud of it.
Well, looking forward to the Lion Effects. Lion Axe.
Lion axe, yeah.
Lion
Lion with a battle axe for a tail. So got to get that one going soon.
That is brilliant. So the Wet Hot American Bummer.
The Wet Hot American Bummer.
That
is
what? How's that name come about then?
Okay, so a lot of times, like in the band days, you would come up with a song title that was like a working title. Like, we're gonna call this one the blah blah blah, like some ridiculous name. And then when the record comes out, you change it. You know, it's a working title.
Yeah.
The working title for this was the Wet Hot American Bummer, and I was like, I'm gonna definitely change it when the time comes.
Yeah.
But everybody just kept referring to it as that. And it just became so synonymous and catchy with the whole project that I was just like, I gotta do it.
Yeah.
So the story is basically it's a delay pedal that can go from pristine digital delay all the way to if you had left a cassette tape on your dashboard and it melted, and then you tried to put it back in your tape deck. And for all the kids, that's how people used to listen to music. And it's kind of like this degraded, warbly, wow and flutter, melty, shoegazy mess.
Yeah.
So going from one extreme to the other, and I was just like, man, yeah, I just think about Wet Hot American Bummer. It's
there you
like
go.
This melted cassette, you know, thinking about being a kid and like listening to something that just is not sounding quite right. But then when you grow up, you're like, that's actually kind of endearing. That was actually kind of cool. No one has ever seen or heard this pedal yet. It came together at the last minute, but I've been working on it for about 2 years with Neil from Dr. Scientist. They make some great stuff. And I basically gave him a laundry list of, here's everything I want in a delay, and I want it to fit in a box this big. And he was just like, I can get all of that in, but it's gonna be tight. So he ended up spitting out a bunch of code, and we're still tweaking it. Like, this is kind of the prototype right now. But yeah, if we go to kind of digital delay world, I'll go over here. We got tap tempo, which is real nice.
Yeah, of course.
So just a really nice delay.
Yeah.
And then I wanted a modulation wheel. And I was like, I want to be able to introduce chorus and reverb somehow. So he came up with this cool little dial that the first third is reverb. The second third is chorus. And the final third of the rotation is chorus and reverb together. So, and the more you turn it up, the more like kind of a longer verb trail you get and things like that. And then you'll be able to hear it kind of cut off when you go to the chorus section. Right there. So Thank you.
Love that. I mean, I'm a huge kind of chorus fan anyway, and like delay as well. So the combination of the two.
I love modulated reverb with a delay, with that nice chorus. And so this is kind of like my shoegaze world, where it's the chorus, reverb, and if you turn that knob all the way up, and the mix knob here for the delay also controls the modulation. So it's like you can turn that up quite a bit if you want it. And then this right here is kind of the what would you call it? The repeats, the way that they degrade. So you can go from digital to more of a tape kind of sound. So when you have the longer repeats, the tape is a little bit fatter. And then if you go all the way to the right, it's kind of like a lo-fi thing, so it's a little bit more, it degrades a little quicker, there's not as much thickness to it. And then if you end up throwing in this knob, this is the wow and flutter knob.
Right.
So that was kind of based on an Ampex tape machine.
Yeah.
The sort of warbliness that you get. You can get pretty extreme with it. Oh, I forgot to mention, there's a white noise filter.
Oh, yes.
So I had it on, I guess. So, you know, when you really want that lo-fi texture, really kind of just messed up sound.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to have a little bit of noise if you're not getting it already.
Yeah.
Like this setup right now is so nice and clean.
That's cool, I like that.
Thanks. And then, yeah, the kind of tap tempo thing, you know, for everybody who wants it.
Yeah.
I don't know if
tap tempo, I would always
Yeah.
love a tap tempo. That's just me personally.
And you got the subdivision here, you know, just in case you want to do the, what is it, quarters and eighth notes?
Dotted eighths. So quarter, yeah.
Yeah. So just, you know, a couple different options. Just I wanted to make it, because I'm such a simple guitar player that I was like, I'll probably never use that. And, you know, I think Neil was like, we have room, let's do it. And I was like, oh, okay,
so, I mean,
fine.
Is it all right to hear that one then? Just
Yeah. If I know how to turn up my guitar, there we go.
That's cool.
And then, yeah, just.
Sounds really nice.
I'm like losing myself because this is still so new to me.
Yeah.
So I'm like losing myself in the sounds, which is always a good thing. You know? It's like if you're just like listening to yourself play your own pedal, and it's exciting to you. So yeah, this does not have a release date, but I just wanted to share what this is because I'm so excited about it. You know,
it's again, there's a lot in there. I mean, to have like delay, great sound and delay, and chorus.
Oh,
in there.
thank you.
And I love that, the addition of the white noise. That's
it was very much like a, you know, with like the shoegazy kind of stuff that's been kind of coming back, and the sort of bedroom pop, sludgy lo-fi thing.
Yeah.
I was just like, that'd be like just a nice little thing. Because also like tape machines and tape, like when they get degraded, they do get a hiss.
Yeah.
So I was like, if we could have that on a switch so it's not always there, and kind of make it subtle. The first iteration of this, it was so loud. And I was like, how do I turn that down? Like, which resistor do I swap out? So I have it so it's really subtle now. And yeah, I'm very happy because everything that I've made thus far has been a gain of some kind. A boost, a fuzz, an overdrive, a distortion. So to be able to have some modulation, reverb, and delay all in one shot. So I was thinking about calling it, you know, it's the wet hot American bummer but it needs more words like ambient modulated echo container. Like, you know, just like it needs container. I'm surprised but I just came up with that now. And these are all kind of just like sound containers. Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't have that good of a ring to it. I'll ask AI for some good ideas.
But it's brilliant. I mean, obviously, so there's a huge array of sounds available just on this board alone. Yeah. I mean, is there any pedals you're looking to make in the future in regards to effects that you haven't necessarily done yet?
After this Wet Hot American Bummer got all cased up and ready to go, really made me want to make like a standalone reverb pedal of some kind. Yeah. Just because, I don't know. After a while, your ears get tired of all the distortion when you're developing pedals.
Oh, anyway. Well, I imagine so. Yeah.
Like as a player, you know, it's like, oh yeah, you can use that every day. Yeah. But when you're just, especially when I'm testing pedals, like I build all these by myself in my shop in my basement. I have a little bit of help from my buddy Mason. Hi Mason, thanks for the help. He also builds these guitars with me, which is very cool. The Onder Guitar Company. Yeah. I guess we could talk about those in a second. After a while of testing these pedals, after you build 5, you put them on a desk and you have a looper pedal, you hit it, and it plays the same annoying ska and punk riff over and over again, and you're flipping through the less than Jake settings for, 5 at a time for a batch of 150. You start to go crazy. And then, when this pedal comes along, it's just like, oh, it's so soothing.
Refreshing.
Problem is, I test each one of these that I've built so far for like an hour and 20 minutes a piece because I'm just having so much fun. It's like, does it work? I don't care. Like, just like
enjoying it.
Give me that sweet dreamscape, you know? Or in this case, it's kind of a nightmare hellscape because being a kid in America is tough. And it's getting tougher. Right. Wet Hot American Bummer. The pedal for your shoegaze needs. Making sure there's no logos on here. It's like,
no, you're good.
In case they thought it was like a commercial.
We could reach out. Maybe what are those fancy bottles all the birds have got these days?
Stanley. Oh, my wife would be so stoked. She has like 4 of them.
Does she?
And I have to fill them up every damn time. I'm the one filling them up.
Why?
Get your own Stanley cup full of water.
They're like 40, 50 quid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, so now you kind of briefly mentioned these guitars.
Yes.
I had a quick go on them earlier. They feel great. They look great. They look very cool. So,
thanks, man.
Bit of background on these guitars then.
So the Onder Guitar Company kind of was inspired by the fire that happened when I started making pedals. I had that drive to just make something, and I was like, I can do this. I can create something in the music gear space. Yeah. And then I was just kind of like, it's a shame I never got a signature model guitar when I was in a band. I mean, it's kind of hard to make that happen. Your band has to get pretty big. You have to get pretty good at guitar. Yeah. And neither really happened for me, but I had fun. It was great. Yeah. And then I was like, what if I made my own guitar? Like, what would my signature model be? And I kind of sketched this out. And then I kind of honed it in a little bit more, got it to scale. Yeah. Sent it to my buddy at Futura Guitars, who does a lot of renders and artwork. Yeah. And he made it look like a real guitar, using computers. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's real. Yeah. And I brought that to Matt Tunney, who is my good buddy of many years, really great guitar builder. Yeah. And I showed him the picture, and he was just like, I made guitars, right? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, how about we start a guitar company? Yeah. And I was like, really? He was like, I can build guitars. You can sell guitars. We can do this. Yeah. And long story short, we ended up moving shops 3 times to kind of just get more and more space. We got more and more people. And it really is a labor of love right now because it's so new. But we've probably built about 10 or 11 of these, taking on custom orders. And this is the sharpshooter model, and it's a bigger body because I'm a bigger boy, and I love guitars 335s and Ricks and things like that. And I also just love the kind of hardtail. We make a lot more than hardtail. You can pretty much get whatever bridge you want on this. But it's just a little bit of a bigger body. The contours are cool. I love the angles on the pickguard and the headstock. We got our logo on the headstock now. This belongs to a guy named Ben. We built this for him, and thank you, Ben. Ben said I could bring this and show
Cheers,
this
Ben.
off.
Thank
and
you.
then that one is Ken from Reverend Guitars sharpshooter that he ordered. And I think to quote him exactly, I was like, can I bring that down to Chicago Music Exchange? And before I could finish, he went, I don't care. But then he followed it up with, yeah, I really like Chicago Music Exchange. They're great to us. And I'm like, okay, cool. But he was just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I was like, sweet, man.
I do love the contour and the pick guard as well.
Oh, thank
that
you.
is very cool.
Yeah, and they're kind of like this kind of 70s guitar meets modern aesthetics.
Yeah. What are these pickups then?
Those are Railhammer pickups, and those are actually designed by Joe Naylor, who founded Reverend.
Oh, right. Okay.
So Railhammer and Reverend are kind of all in the same umbrella. And, you know, it's like I love being able to work with friends. So it's like when we needed pickups, it was like,
Yeah.
I know who to call. You know, they live down the road. Down the road like 2 hours, but, you know, it's the same road. But yeah, just like these came together in such a cool way, and it's a dream come true for me to be in front of cameras talking about guitars that I designed.
Yeah,
is
of course
really wild to me. Like just even saying that out loud. So being able to have the pedals and the guitars kind of together, yeah, we're getting real pumped. And actually, I was going to mention this. So Matt Tunney, the main builder of these, I told him I was coming to do these videos with you, and he was, I didn't know this, but he's a very big fan of yours.
Of me?
Yes.
Fucking
He's
hell.
been watching you for years.
Oh, Jesus.
Mainly because he also built your Mule guitar.
Oh, shit,
that
yeah.
you played in videos.
Yeah.
He works, Mule is upstairs from us at our shop.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Saginaw, Michigan. So thank you, Mule, for lending us your tools and helping us know how to be a company and not, you know, being annoyed by, you know, these little kids scrambling trying to make an instrument. Matt knows what he's doing, but I'm the one who's like, you know, still learning everything. And so, yeah, the fact that Matt built that guitar and you're holding it now.
Well,
and the fact that
Matt knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Cheers, Matt.
So Matt Tunney, Master Builder.
Shout out to Matt Tunney, Master Builder.
Master Builder's kind of an intense name, isn't it?
It is.
Like I feel like you have to be really old and like really charge a lot of money, but he's a master builder. I'll say it as a
You're
friend.
gonna say it quick though.
Master builder? Oh, they're gonna censor it
Yeah.
now.
No.
Dang it.
I mean, it feels good. I mean, the thing that strikes me straight away is the neck. I really like the neck.
Thanks. Yeah, these were made, these are the first guitars that we made the necks. So our older prototypes, you know, they were from other companies and we carved out the headstocks. And these ones came straight from Chris Bloom, who's like our CNC guy. And then Mason Monville is does everything else guy.
Yeah.
So he sanded these to perfection. So Chris and Mason and Matt, they do all the work.
Yeah.
And I'm the one who's just like, I got an idea, let's do one with 90 pickups. And they're like, we can't do that. And, you know, so they're building me one now that's a red sparkle that I'm really excited about. So
yeah, I mean, they look great, feel great. They sound great, obviously.
Thank
I
you.
do particularly like the look of that as well, I've got to say, with that pick guard and that colour.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really jealous that I don't get to keep this one.
Yeah.
I know people say that, you know, when they make gear, but this is like a charcoal frost, and it actually has a matching charcoal frost headstock.
Oh, yeah.
Which is not that much different than our normal black headstocks, but it's a really cool little touch.
Nice touch, yeah.
And then, this has the cool ebony streaked fretboard, and that one has a rosewood fretboard.
Yeah.
And these have the same pickups in them, but, you know, we offer all kinds of different pickups and humbuckers
cool.
and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's a single volume on that one, too.
Yeah.
Because Ken from Reverend, he plays in quite a few bands, but he plays in like a ska punk reggae band called Jay Navarro and the Traders. And he's very like one volume, you know, rock and roll kind of thing.
That's cool. It's a great colour as well.
Oh, thanks. It's
It looks
just
great, man.
anything that reminds me of old nice furniture. I'll say this: you're one of the most interesting and fun and awesome guitar players to watch.
Oh,
absolutely love it.
That's crazy, man.
And it
Well,
makes me want to like try new things, which is something that, you know, I don't feel every day when I'm playing guitar. And one thing that I was laughing to myself about last night, and I haven't practiced this at all, was trying to play Wonderwall using the Wonderwall for maybe the first time. I don't think I've ever played Wonderwall on this, but I was like, can I do a Shoegaze Wonderwall? and I was gonna see if it works.
Yeah.
So let me see.
Here we go. This is a first.
Let me get it. I'm gonna get both sides set up. You know.
Capo?
I don't think so. I think I'm gonna try to swing it without it. Yeah, there it is.
Like it.
It's the first time anybody's played Wonderwall on the Wonderwall pedal.
Listen,
Well, tried
you just
to.
need those drums just kind of belting away in the background. Yeah, man, loads of reverb, loads of whatever. No, that's
Yeah, dude, that's.
cool. And it's on camera. I reckon that's got to be. You got to post a video of you doing that.
Maybe
proper video.
I'm down. Yeah, I'm gonna have to record it. Maybe I'll get some people over.
Do it.
And I'm not gonna do any drugs, but they will. I'm gonna force them to do all kinds of drugs.
Yeah.
And we're gonna make the trippiest. We're gonna probably at the end of the day record like the whole "What's the Story, Morning Glory" record.
I want to hear that.
Don't Look Back in Anger, just like 18-minute version.
Yeah. half tempo.
Which, by the way, I think that's in my top 5 favorite songs ever. Don't Look Back in Anger.
Yeah.
So like hearing you play that on guitar is just like, oh yeah, there it is.
Oh,
Love it.
it's not like I wrote it or anything.
I don't know, man.
But thank you.
You might as well have after your rendition. I was like, dude, that's the one. That's cool.
Well, thank you, man. Right, I'll let you mess around with it. So clean sound.
All right.
Do your thing.
Funny. It's like clean sound. All right, now the bummer sound.
Wow.
What?
Wait, did I get? What?
I didn't know it could do that.
Wait, go. What was that first setting you did there?
Let's see. I went from there to there.
What's the Looney Tunes thing? It's kind of that, right?
That's how they did it. Here, look. So I got to go the other way. So here we go. Ready? Amazing.
Kind of. I don't know why. It was like
You just sold like 1,000 pedals.
There we go.
You ever wanted that Looney Tunes tone?
We've been craving it. Everyone's been craving it, right? I don't know why that popped into my head straight away.
That's awesome.
I couldn't help but try and I'm always going to do YouTube stuff with a delay.
Oh, I
will
love
not apologise.
I kind of forgot you could actually take the delay out and just mess around. I don't think the chorus works on its own when you take the delay out, but like if you just wanted modulated reverb pedal, like there it is.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Kind of wacky. I like that.
That's cool.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely hear that lo-fi setting on here now, because like the last 2 or 3 of them are just like dying. This. This is the prototype, so I don't think it has all like the weird hold functions and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But if you so dramatic, and then it's
wild.
Like, ooh, it came back down. I like that.
That's cool.
We can score a movie.
You could.
Like an 80s like rom-com. Ooh, there we go. That's my favorite 70s romantic comedy, The Exorcist. I went on a date with the devil, and all I got was this lousy pea soup spit up all over the place. Oh, and my head spun around.
Turn them all on. Yeah.
Oh, let's
do it.
Weird hook on pedal video.
So this is the end. So this is the end of the chain right here.
Okay.
So we'll go with like the really washy sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll start with that on. The end will start on, so we can hear. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna start just adding gain, folks, because that's all I do.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Oh, it does sound.
That's just shoegaze, like.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, we just made a record.
We did.
Put it on Spotify, folks.
We got it.